What is going on, 12s? Welcome back to another episode of the Always Compete Seahawks podcast. Now, I had promised you guys that, hey, like if the Seahawks offensive coordinator news breaks, I will get a video to you as soon as possible. I will be on it from step one and let's go, and I'll be there. I'm at work yesterday. I was working like a 4:30 to 9 shift. And around 7 o'clock, the Klint Kubiak to the Seahawks news is announced. The worst possible time. I was really just planning on getting at the news, and I was gonna be at home, or I was just gonna be out, and I'd be able to come home and just crank out a podcast real fast. No, I was working, and then that led to me uh, getting home later, so that was already putting me behind. And then we were hosting a little bit of like a get together with a couple people to watch the championship games. So I had to be there for that. I couldn't step out of the room and do a podcast for 20 minutes while people were over. And then this morning I had school very early and I didn't have time to record a podcast this morning. So here we are. It is now 1:33 Eastern time on Monday, the day after the Seahawks officially announced that they are hiring Klint Kubiak as their offensive coordinator. I'm going to drop some thoughts here. This is not going to be a very long video. I don't have much to really go in depth on. But I will just give my thoughts, give a little backstory to Klint Kubiak and like really what how important this is for the Seahawks. Now, what Clint Kubiak was the expected hire, I think. I mean, they wanted Hank Fraley, but I think the entire time most people expected Clint Kubiak. In my OC prediction video, I said, "Hey, I think Clint Kubiak's going to end up getting this job." Um, and it kind of played out that way from the start. Mike McDonald, he clearly wanted something different from Ryan Grubb. Ryan Grubb did too much shotgun, not enough under center, not enough play action, and not enough effective running of the football. Those three things were what really grinded Mike McDonald's gears. So what does he go out and do? He says, "Hey, I'm going to go out and get Clint Kubiak, a guy who loves to run play action." Kubiak is a big user of play action. They use it a ton. Um, they used it really early on when the Saints offense was healthy. And it really is difficult to grade like how good of a coordinator Clint Kubiak is, because really what the Saints were last year was when they were healthy, Clint Kubiak was running a above average to even at some points elite offense. But let's be honest, it wasn't going to be elite the whole year. Even with those guys, it was probably going to end up being an above average offense at the pace that they were on. And when they were healthy and when the Saints had everybody rolling, they ran a lot of play action. They were doing exactly what Kubiak wanted to do, and it was working. And a big factor in Kubiak's offense is the center calls protections. The quarterback never has to call the protections. The center will get to the line and say, "Hey, you there, you there, you there," and just go out and block. Go out and block. Now, sorry, excuse me. Now everything kind of went downhill once their center got hurt. Eric McCoy, who is a Pro Bowler, he is a legitimate quality center. Like we and so McCoy went down. I believe they had Rashid Shaheed went down. He was a big part of their deep game. They had they had Chris Olave go down. They had Derek Carr go down. They had a few more offensive linemen go down. That team was really a husk of itself at the end of the season. So it's really difficult to look at last year and say, "Oh, well, the Saints offense wasn't good last year, so Clint Kubiak isn't a good OC." There have been many offensive coordinators who go somewhere and aren't necessarily great, but they still later get jobs that end up where they end up being very successful. We saw that with Sean McVay, where he was the offensive coordinator for Washington, and they weren't blowing up the league. They weren't like a ridiculous offense. Kyle Shanahan was coached for like three teams as an offensive coordinator before going to Atlanta and breaking out with Matt Ryan in that MVP year. Sometimes it's all about personnel, all about what you can do. I think Kubiak could fall in that. I think Kubiak has a very good league-wide reputation. He's only 37. Like he is still very young. Him and Mike McDonald are the same age. We have a really young coordinator group, 37 for Mike McDonald, 37 for Kubiak, and I believe Aiden Dirty's like 45 around that. So a very young team here, and I think Kubiak has room to grow, but I think Seattle is a good place for that. I think we could be seeing a situation where Kubiak perhaps isn't a guy that might get a lot of head coaching buzz. I don't know. It's interesting to see. I think what Mike McDonald might want here is he wanted to get a guy who might be able to stick around a while. I've seen a lot of people say that, hey, if Grant Udinsky came here and he has a good year, he's pretty much gone year one. He's not going to be back. So, with that being said, I think that that is interesting, and I think we're going to see that play out. Um, as for what this might mean for the offense, well, first let me just say this: I like the hire. I talked about it. I think Kubiak is the highest floor of any coordinator that we were rumored to be interested in. He's been around. He's called plays before. Ultimately, that's what like a lot of us were looking for, and we got someone who's called plays for multiple teams. So I will take that at the end of the day. I think it's a good hire. I don't think it's a great hire. I don't think there was really any home run hires. There was not one single hire this offseason that had no question marks. Like some years there are offensive coaches that get fired and then they go somewhere else and you can pick them off. A lot of people were hoping that Brian Daboll was going to get the boot so that Seattle could go out, maybe look at him for OC. He didn't. So there was not really one hire that's like, oh wow, that's the hire that's gonna make the team. I mean, this is really the move that could make or break the offseason. Kubiak is so extremely important to what the Seahawks need to do next year because frankly, if Mike McDonald has the defense back where they were, which is roughly top 10, all you need to really be a good team after that is to have a above average offense. There and it's not just an above average offense year wide, it's a consistently above average offense. An offense that will show up in the big games, that will make plays in the big games. How many times have we seen last year that Seattle's offense in moments where they really needed it didn't show? Didn't show. And sure, you could say that about the defense as well. They had some games like the Detroit game where, they got blown out on defense and the offense had a good game but just couldn't keep up. But I mean, really think about it. There were so many games this year early on where the offense just wasn't pulling their weight. The Denver game, Seattle's defense was dominating that game, and it took until like the third or fourth quarter to get the offense moving really in any way at all, any consistent way. I really think that consistency and balance is what Mike McDonald's looking for, and I think Kubiak can help offer that. Now, as to what this might mean for the team and for the staff, especially, I don't know if Seattle is going to prioritize a run game coordinator. That's definitely interesting to think about. It was kind of perceived as if Udinsky or Fraley comes in, you would have to get for Udinsky, you'd have to get a run game coordinator, and for Fraley, you'd have to get a pass game coordinator. For Kubiak, it's interesting. I think they will probably end up prioritizing it because I think Mike McDonald just wants to be so heavy on the run. I think he really wants to get way better at that. I think he might want to go out and get an experienced guy that can come in and really manage that. But at this moment, at least, I don't know how important that will be considering Kubiak has play calling experience before. And he does come from a quarterback background, which is why I do think that Mike McDonald might want to go out and say, "Hey, let's go get a run game coordinator, let Klint manage all the pass stuff." But that's interesting. That's going to be an interesting thing to watch. For what it means for the roster, zone runs will be higher. The center will be much more important. Um, like the Seahawks will realistically, if there's any position that Clint Kubiak is going to be sitting there and saying, "Hey, we gotta get this position down," it's gonna be center. As for centers that are free agents, uh, as for centers that are free agents this offseason, there are a few legitimate veteran centers. Let me go to PFF here. There are a few legitimate veteran centers. Drew Dahlman is kind of the first name that is kind of the marquee name for the center class this year. He's young, I believe. I think he's 25 or 26. I remember when he came out of the draft. Any team that deploys an outside zone rushing scheme will be all over the former fourth round pick. Sound familiar? Kubiak is from that zone scheme. And I think Seattle is going to prioritize that. I really think they are. I think Dahlman is immediately an obvious target. If not, you have Ryan Kelly, the veteran who's been around. As for with Drew Dahlman, with him being helpful kind of in the zone scheme, I think Kelly is helpful with the mental aspect. Kelly's been playing for a long time, since I believe 2015. He's been in the league 2015, 2016. He's been around a long time. He's been an all-pro center in the past. I think he would easily be able to dissect a game like the Seahawks really need their center to this year. If we are going to have centers calling the pass sets, I would not trust Oluwatimi to go out there and be the starting center. It would just be a very scary proposition to me. Bradley Bozeman from the Chargers is another name that's a trusted veteran that's been around. After that, there's really no one that um, is available that really catches your eye. I think center will be a high priority position for the Seahawks. As for whether they want to go for maybe the more expensive but better scheme fit in Dahlman, or whether they want to go for a savvy vet to kind of lead that O line, because they will be losing Laken Tomlinson. And say what you want about Laken Tomlinson on the field, off the field, he was certainly the veteran leader for the Seahawks offensive line room that they will no longer have. I think Kelly makes a lot of sense if you're looking to kind of replace that role with a veteran center that knows the game inside and out. It's going to be interesting to see what they do at that position. As for the rest of the offensive line in general, for guards, look for the smaller guards. They are going to want to go out and get more athletic, guys that can move, maybe guys that are a little smaller, a little lighter. I think this move bodes well for Christian Haynes. Christian Haynes, undersized, not really a people mover. I am a UConn fan. I really liked him coming out of the class, mostly because I've seen him on so many plays pull around and really good, get like good speed and get out in on pulls. I think Haynes really has the mobility to succeed in a zone scheme. I do think he still needs to get stronger, but it's probably not a great move. It's not a great look for like a Satao Almea, a guy who is more of a people mover than a real get out and move type of player. I think if you're Christian Haynes, you're probably very happy right now. And I think this is a scheme that probably fits you better. And once again, for the draft, look for lighter players. Look for lighter guards, really anyone that, is able to kind of move and is nimble. That's going to be important. I think that's something to look out for. As for players that are free agents from the Saints, there are a few interesting names here that I would keep an eye on. Um, Lucas Patrick, the guard, is a guy that you might want to keep an eye out for. He's 31. He's a long time veteran player. Don't know how good he was, but once again, Seattle needs guards. Patrick could be a cheap stopgap. There are some interesting names here. Juwan Johnson is a name that really catches my eye out of New Orleans. He is a unrestricted free agent this year, a tight end that really had a big part in New Orleans offense last year. If we're seeing a guy like Noah Fant maybe get cut, perhaps Kubiak is saying, "Hey, Juwan, come over here. You're going to be our guy." He might fit better for what Kubiak wants to do. Or perhaps maybe Kubiak is saying, "Hey, I did that with Jawan Johnson. Imagine what I can do with Noah Fant, who, say what you want about how he's performed the past few years, is very athletic, and that athleticism has not really been unleashed in a Seattle offense." You have to wonder if Kubiak is going to unlock that tight end position for the Seahawks. Or maybe you wonder if it makes them more likely to pick a tight end if Noah Fant is cut. If Colston Loveland somehow manages to fall to pick 18, maybe they say, hey, that's the guy we want. We trust him, we like him, and he's going to make our offense better. Overall, a lot of interesting things to watch here. There are a good amount of free agents for the Saints, guys on offense that, you know, have played a lot of snaps. I'm kind of looking like Shane Lemieux is a free agent, not necessarily like a star free agent, but a free agent nonetheless. Chase Young is a free agent. Um, any other? Marcus Valdez Scantling played well for New Orleans last year. You wonder if he's a potential name to watch to come to Seattle if, for instance, a Tyler Lockett type name is cut and maybe they just want a stopgap receiver to kind of fill that spot. Valdez Scantling could make sense. All in all, I like the hire, and it has a lot of ramifications for how not only this year goes, but how maybe perhaps the Mike McDonald tenure goes. Maybe this, like, I really do think, though, this offseason is totally dependent on John Schneider because I think Kubiak can be a great OC if you give him what he needs, which is going to be building a steady offensive line and building that from there because Seattle and Kubiak especially will be heavily reliant on play action, establishing the run, and making things work. That's what Mike McDonald wants. That's what the Seahawks want. The only question is John Schneider willing to spend to do it? That is left to be seen. So overall, I would not see this move as like, oh, well, that's it. This is what the Seahawks got, and now we're gonna roll. The Seahawks still need to make moves. If they don't make moves on offense, it is a really scary situation. If they do make moves, they settle stuff with Geno. They keep DK around. Maybe Tyler Lockett's gone. Maybe Noah Fant's gone. We'll see how those guys are replaced, and then we'll see how they plug those gaps on the offensive line. Drew Dalman is a name to watch. Just telling you, Drew Dalman is a name to watch. Um, as far as anything else, I don't really think I have anything. Overall, like the hire. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I always look at your comments, so please leave one if you have any thoughts. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy your day. I will have more videos for you this week about kind of some free agency stuff. I'm going to start doing position by position breakdowns. Hope you guys are ready for that, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. I hope you enjoy your day. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Peace out.